All right, so we're now recording the panel, rolling forward together. So, Hiete, hola, boa noite, buenas noches, and hello from Australia. I am now going to pass over to my wonderful co-chair, Cecily, who is there. Okay, so Cecily just have to, yep.
Hello. Hello, guys. Thank you for having me, and I'm pretty stoked to be a part of this and asking some amazing questions for the theme panel. And one of the questions was, who is a woman that inspired you to do what you do?
Let's start off with Sarah, maybe. Sarah looks keen.
Oh, damn. All right. The hard part is like picking one, right? But I was thinking about this, and I mean, in terms of what really inspired Yeah Girl and made that become a reality, it was just all the other, women non-binary photographers that were shooting skateboarding at the time. The exhibition came about when I realized how many of us there were out there, and that weren't really getting the spotlight. So it's kind of thanks to all of those people, everyone that was in that first exhibition and more, that, yeah, kind of inspired me to start Yeah Girl and do what I do in that space.
And Sarah, it's going to be your task to throw to the next person to answer the question.
Oh man. All right, Norma, you're next to me on my little thing, so over to you.
Yeah, well, for me, I didn't see many women skateboarding in Mexico. So when I moved to Canada, I was really inspired by Michelle Pessel, which is the owner of a skate shop. And well, she's also a skater herself and has made a path, for her being in the industry for a long time ago. And she's not only a shop owner, she's a community builder, and she's been a big influencer in my life, a big inspiration, also given me a lot of opportunities, like having my first photo show in Vancouver. So yeah, she was one of the first women that I ever saw involved in skateboarding. And yeah, shout out to her. And I'm gonna pass it to Pipa because she's right here.
All right. For me, it's hard to pick just one, two, but as everything has been to me, like I'll mix it, So I'll give you three names. First of all, it's Lisa Araújo, the one that made the Check It Out magazine. Because of her, I'm doing a magazine here in Brazil now called Into the Mirror. And since I started to do the magazine, I noticed how important it is, to share our background, to share what the girls are doing. And I'm going with not only with the magazine, I'm doing some videos. So my inspiration is Lisa Whitaker. When I first saw some footage on the internet, it was made from her. And yeah, when I think about filming skateboarding, she's the first one that I think about it. And finally, doing the commentator thing, because now I'm doing this in a lot of contests here in Brazil. Work at STU, doing the whole year a lot of contests. It's my inspiration is Alex White. She's always up to help me, and she gave me a lot of tips how to do this job, and I'm really grateful. So shout out to these three that they are amazing and my heroes. And now I gotta pass the question. Mimi.
Okay. So yeah, I have a couple people as well. Obviously there are a lot of women that help me, but when I started skateboarding, I didn't know any other girl or women skaters. I didn't meet any till I was in my 20s. So for me, it was definitely my mom because I wouldn't have probably continued skateboarding if she encouraged my brother and I to do anything we were excited about. My brother got into herpetology and frogs and snakes and all these crazy things, and I was into skateboarding. So if it wasn't for my mom, I probably wouldn't have had the confidence to skate all those years on my own. But later on, after I moved to California, I'd say Carabeth Burnside for sure is the person who probably helped me the most. And I wish the younger generation knew more about her because skateboarding would not be where it is right now without her and all the things she did to champion it through for so long. And just her level of skateboarding in general as well was so high for so long compared to other women. I just think it further legitimized skateboarding in the industry at the time. So, but yeah, Carabeth, CB.
Alrighty. What about you, Indigo?
Oh gee, everybody on this panel would be definitely heroes. So probably a woman that inspired what I do would be Kristen Belling from Skate Like a Girl. I think many of us have just got a lot to thank, whether it's just a little idea that you grow into something really big, or it's just having somebody encouraging you and saying, what we do actually, sometimes you get quite a lot of resistance, and somebody saying, like, don't listen, just keep doing it, like just that real encouragement. So shout out to all of the team at Skate Like a Girl. I think they were really important for at least when I started skateboarding, which was around 2014 onwards. So thank you.
Yeah, I think Skate Like a Girl is pretty awesome. They also I also had a chance to my first time ever going to Seattle, so it was cool checking out the event, and it really opened up like the doors, and it's it was a pretty good big eye opener seeing so many different skateboarders and pretty encouraging.
Was there anybody else for
Okay.
you, Cecily, just before we go on? Did you have anyone that you wanted to also shout out?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, for me, growing up skateboarding, there wasn't much female skateboarders as well. And I didn't since I lived on the reservation, I didn't really have like internet, and the first female skateboarder I heard of was Alyssa Steamer from my cousin, and he was the one who like told me about her and told me like how good she was. So then I went to the local library and checked out one of the thrashers and used their computer to see who she was, and like seeing her skate and seeing her older than me was really inspiring because like it really inspire pushes you, and that's who the first person that I seen that was inspirational to me. Alrighty. And ready, you guys ready for the next question? Alrighty. So what is something you do in skateboarding that you'd love more girls and women to have an opportunity to have a go at? All right, we'll start with Norma.
I think since I'm very passionate about storytelling and photography, I definitely would want to see more women and non-binary folks behind the lens. And I would like for all of us to have more opportunities instead of just kind of being like a checkbox, Sometimes it feels like we get called only when it's like a girls project and like or a certain time of the year or like just kind of like to check one box for brands or stuff like that. So I wish that in the future there'll be more of us because I right now I see a lot of women that are trying to start making videos, taking more photos. So yeah, it's cool to see more people trying it out, but I think we also need the industry to back us up and like giving us the opportunities. So yeah, I think yeah, I would like to see more women photographing, making videos, and also like in writing or editorial roles. So that the media is definitely yeah has like more inclusivity when it comes to like who are telling the stories of our communities. And pass it to Pipi again.
Um, what I have to say is kind of similar that what you said because sometimes I'm behind the lens too. So, especially here in Brazil, I think it's too hard to see this part of the community growing, So Norma came. We were in a contest this weekend, Saturday, and she saw a lot of girls doing some stuff, doing photography, videos, and everything, mobile. And she said, "Oh, there's a lot here in Brazil, and yeah, it's growing. It's finally happening, but it's a new thing. Um, it's not around for so long, And this is why I started to film, I think, because I wanted to see more videos made by girls and see more girls skating, see more girls on the magazine, seeing more girls being professional in this industry, but I feel the same. We don't have the opportunity into the industry, into the medias, and we have to do our own things. So sometimes we can struggle, but when I see some girls doing it, even me, I think that the main message is that it's not impossible to achieve these goals, So yeah, if I could, I really want to see more girls doing videos and medias and magazines. And when I talk about it, I cannot talk only in general. I want to say about the black girls too, because I know that it's hard for every woman, but for the black girls, it's even harder, So that's my desire to see more and more girls, black girls doing it. And I'm passing to Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much gonna echo what both of you said. Yeah, I think more women in the creative roles, because I think that that's how we, like, the culture is documented and defined by the writers, the photographers, the filmmakers, through all those creative outputs. So I think that's how we claim our space and tell our stories without having them told for us from somebody else's perspective. I think that's really important. I'm going to throw to you, Mimi.
I'm going to be, kind of boring here and sort of mirror the same thing, but I think we need to see women in all sorts of leadership roles, like decision-making roles, because what often comes out as like a product or the things we see in the spotlight, there's a lot that goes into that behind the scenes that no one's aware of. And a lot of times, especially with brands with women's names on it, it's because there's a woman working at that company making that happen, So that's something we really need to sort of increase, because I think there's not enough women in leadership roles making those things happen. Yeah, behind the curtain. So, yeah, I'll pass it on to Cecilia.
Alrighty. Thank you for passing it on. Yeah, I would like almost like mirroring you guys as well, because I do see a lot of that going on. And also I would like more girls from my area and other reservations to be more noticed in skateboarding and have the same opportunities that we have, whether it's filming a video part or being the person behind the lens, to doing events and just really getting out there and showing that other reservations and other indigenous skateboarders are out there, get the recognition, be part of the skateboarding. Alrighty, now pass it to Miss Indigo.
I think I'm just going to carry on from everybody here and say when we're represented, we're not erased. And I think that's, to me, one of the driving forces for what I do in my area, which is academic work, research work, writing for also magazines, including Year Girl, which Sarah founded, through storytelling and making people's lives, which are really complex and really interesting and really beautiful, but full of all types of barriers that they've overcome and lessons that they can share with other people, or things that will resonate, maybe make people not feel so alone, maybe have tips that people can adapt in what they're trying to do out there, and being able to create a map in a way of how we got to where we are and where the gaps are, who's been helping, who hasn't, always been there and is able to, and inviting them in. So starting conversations through things like panels. I want to see more of us in those facilitation roles, I guess. And also I'm at the stage of skateboarding probably for about 14 years now. I'm beginning to get grants where I can pay other people. And it's really powerful to me because a lot of this, including this panel, is volunteer. So just to be transparent, a lot of the work that we do is for love, passion, representation, but there's not always sustainable ways for us to do that. And it takes a long time to get a grant, but when you do it, I'm learning the art of how to share that money evenly for events managers, photographers, announcers, MCs, people that come along and volunteer. Is there some way to compensate them? Through more than just giving each other merch, for instance, as well. So it's a long list of also just learning a few managerial and business skills. So having people like Mimi here, who's a CEO, is really important for us to sort of take it to that next level. Having the storytellers like Norma does writing as well as photography, highlighting people like Pippa's work, which is visual storytelling, but it's also on the ground, sort of giving us that story of what it takes before you get to the podium. So it's very easy to watch these little girls, especially achieving so much in a global stage, but that's a very small part of everybody that competes. So there's so much more to learn from Pippa's experiences just recently with World Skate in Brazil. And yeah, just from you, Cecilia, as well. Like when we first met, I was asking you more about the environmental relationship that you had, and particularly with Gallup Skate Park, which you took a major leadership role in creating and giving us, again, perspectives beyond what you do on the board, but also what you do off the board. So I want to see more women and girls bringing those stories out and mapping what we do and making it exposed. So thank you.
All righty. Thank you guys for sharing. That's very inspirational. And on to the next question. What is something you'd love people to know about your work in women's skateboarding that rarely gets talked about? All righty. And let's see. We'll go with Mimi.
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning when you guys sent the questions over, and I think a lot of people know about the prize purse equality with X Games, but I think one of the things I haven't talked about as much or just hasn't been out there is that from 2009 to maybe 2012, we fought really hard to get park included at X Games as a discipline for women. So they had men's park for several years, but they had no women's park. And so, yeah, just really like would send ESPN data, send them studies, like any sort of statistical information that could show, there is a growth in the women's park participation, just schedule meetings. But yeah, finally, I think it was maybe 2013, we had it finally added in. And then obviously, I think that would probably help make it an Olympic discipline later on. So it was just, yeah, it was a big thing that they finally added that. And yeah, that's probably one of the ones. I'll pass it on to Sarah.
I think you kind of touched on this briefly before as well, Mimi, but kind of just the unpaid labor, I suppose, or the unrecognized or unacknowledged labor that happens behind the scenes. Because I think a lot of the time for women in skateboarding, it's we're not just accepting opportunities, we're creating them for ourselves and for others. yeah, so whatever that looks like, but there's definitely a lot of it and a lot of community building and that sort of thing. Yeah. Passing to Pippa.
That's a hard one, but I think we are in the same line, you know. It's about when people see us doing our jobs and creating things, I think they don't realize how much in love with skateboard we are. So yeah, it's most of times the jobs that I've been doing it's unpaid. I'm doing for my passion, and I do it because of the community that I think that the girls deserve some safe space to share their ideas or to try new stuff in skateboarding. Um, Besides the tricks, you know, because skateboarding for me it's pretty rich, you know. You can learn about writing, photography, filming, and a lot of things. And when I see, um, sorry, when I see some of not how can I say when people don't give it the support, don't give it like some value in someone's attitude of doing things. This is how I feel sometimes, like you know, creating some projects that it's not for me, it's for everyone. But they don't see how I'm struggling, that I need help, that I need they to come together because it's not only for me, it's for them. And
No problem.
I think that the community should come more along, you know, and the brands, it's obvious that they should see as their responsibilities to be together and encouraging us to keep doing our jobs or our shit, you know. So yeah, I think that's the hard part that no one see and that happens, but I'll keep doing it because it's how I feel that I was born to do this, you know, that's my mission here. And so, yeah, that's it. Now I'm going to Indigo.
Oh, thank you. I'm so absorbed by what you're saying, Pippa, and everybody else. I'm like, oh yeah. So I hadn't really thought about this one, but I feel a lot of the things that women, girls, and non-binary people do is broadening and correcting out the language around how we present skateboarding culture. So even recently, there was a competition that had a girls' division, but on the advertising on the posters, like, bring the bros, like it's, go the brothers kind of thing. I was like, okay, what happened to a whole division of other people? And um, I feel when people talk about the wrap-ups of a particular skateboarding event, they don't think, I don't think they're trying to exclude other genders, but they don't think about them at all. So often I've had to sort of ask people, you've just given a summary of all the events that were run this year, but you didn't have Wheel of Fortune, you didn't have this conference run by women and non-binary and queer people, which was the very same format as your King of the Road or, your slow impact, whatever. Like maybe you should include that too, because then it just makes it's not a special, hey, this is a, special space that we put women and girls. It's like, it's just part of the culture and it's normalized that there's much more diversity than still that sort of focus on men. So I think that's something that I don't love doing, but I definitely think it rarely gets talked about is how much, as Mimi was saying, behind the scenes work goes just to be included, and the wonderful work that Sarah and Cecilia and Norma and Pippa are all doing here is part of that. So yeah, do I throw to you, Cecilia? Just have I missed somebody? I'm gonna throw to you anyway, and then you can.
Alrighty. So one thing I noticed, yeah, like me as a shop owner, I don't like the shop kind of just takes care of itself. So I put back into the shop, and it would be good to like, hold on one second, and like to have more women recognized, like you said, like through events and what all ladies are doing through skateboarding and the hard work that's put behind businesses to pro skateboarders and photographers to videographers. And I think Norma is also one of my inspirations for her creativity, to her photos or videos. And I think more females all around for skateboarding should be recognized, like you said, through like other big events. I think that would be awesome. Alrighty, now pass it to Sarah.
I think I answered this one. But Norma, did you go?
No, I haven't. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't, but I kind of made a list because I feel like sometimes when we do these talks, we forget. And it's funny because I always feel a little bit guilty after I talk when I talk about these things. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked often is the fact that we are scared to speak up because we don't want to get punished. Because when you speak up about the toxicity, the financial struggle, the times that we get silenced, the times that yeah, like we get overlooked, whether because we're our level of skateboarding or identities. And if we don't, if we get to speak up, there's always like sometimes there's not a good result and we get punished, right? And I think we don't talk enough about the struggles, like because in social media we're so used to like it's the highlight reel, and I am one of those, you know, like I like to celebrate the accomplishments and I like to show what we're doing, the beautiful things, the beautiful community that we're part of, you know, like the highlight reel. But I think there's also a need for speaking more about the struggles and like all the things like all of you said, that what's behind the scenes, what's happening, you know, the harmful stuff. There's so many things to list. Like I also wanted to talk about the financial literacy of things like what the gaps of like payment, like you were saying, sometimes we don't even get paid, but because we are part of this community that we want to showcase, we do it for the love, you know. But then if we make a comparison of what men are doing, then it's a big gap, and often like we're doing it for the love, but and then other people are getting paid tons of money and we don't even know how much, you know. It's very unclear, and it's not talked about enough because I think within the scarcity mindset sometimes we're like, oh, you know, like, well, I'm gonna take this because if I don't take it, someone else will, or there's not enough, so I'll just take it. And another thing that I was recently talking about with Alex White is like we are in this place now that the Olympics are happening and everything changed quick, but at the same time we're still in a phase where it's like the one girl, you know, the one woman in the team, the one woman training, the one woman photographer. And it makes us feel like we have to compete with each other. And it's like, you know, the numbers are still, it's like the checkbox thing. And I think, you know, it's not healthy the way the industry puts us in a place where it's like, okay, yeah, there's gonna be just one woman photographer in this thing, or there's gonna be just the one filmer or the one writer. Like, we wanna be more of us in the same teams, you know, and I think those are the things that I listed, you know, and yeah, like I think we need to talk about it, and it's uncomfortable, but in order to change it, it has to be, we gotta be uncomfortable, and not just us. I think it has to also come from the people in the power, you know. And yeah, I think that's something that we need to talk more as a whole skateboarding ecosystem, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Norma. That's definitely true. Alrighty, on to the next question. What does the IWD themes balance the scales UN mean to you? And let's go with Miss Indigo.
So I think balance the scales is a funny one. It sounds like it sounds like a weight loss program. So like how do we balance the scales? I don't know. Probably in everything we do. I'm really inspired by Danny Abu Awa, who is a Palestinian British academic who had an amazing checklist for all the events that we're often doing because we're invited to talk at panels and so on. And she was sort of saying who isn't in the room and who could be, why aren't they in the room, what are the steps that are missing to make them be in that room with you and what's happening, or just always checking like if there's a conversation to have about increasing, I guess, everybody having the same opportunity, what are the ways that you can have that conversation with somebody up? So often I think we complain down or complain horizontally, but she was suggesting, like firstly, complain up. So people with more power, that's sort of shifting a lot of the tension and the heaviness and the burden that we can often feel has to be released, but also just, checking the audiences as well. So that would be my answer. Thank you, Cecilia. And I am going to pass to Pippa.
Yeah, I think the balance it will come with the more opportunity, equal opportunity for everyone. And as Norma said, like we need to talk about it with not fear, we need to be listening. And I think when we finally could be really listening and start to have the same opportunities, more than one girl doing something around, I think that the balance is coming from there, because since we have more women giving their ideas and in good positions, of decision, I think it will reflection to the next generation, and then this next generation will raise like finally having this horizontal ground, So yeah, I think that's it. So Norma.
Yeah, I'm gonna mirror that, but talk about the equity, equity when it comes to skateboarding and everything, opportunities, visibility, recognition, and like there's always been women in skateboarding, but there has never the visibility has never been the same, and I feel like this whole conversation it's evolving around the same, the inequality and the inequity of things. And yeah, I think it's important to also the feminism of skateboarding, but also we need to talk about the white feminines and how can we listen to women of color, trans people, and queer communities as well, because often that gets forgotten too. So I think in order for have the balance, like the question said, is like we all have to come together and we all have to listen to each other, especially those who have often been not listened to and overlooked in order to create change. But it goes back to the same, who is in the position of power. It's not just having the conversations, it's like taking the actions now. Like we're in a place where we can talk about it, but I think the next step is like, what are the actions that we as a community need to take, and those who can actually have that position to make those changes, like it's not all the people that has that privilege of having the power. So it's a collective effort, but there's also, who holds the industry and how can we share those positions of power so that every community is part of, not just the women, every community in skateboarding. Skateboarding is so diverse, but the industry is not. So I think that's kind of what we need in order to balance the scale. And I passed it to Mimi.
I literally was gonna say what you said, Norma. So it's I totally agree with you. I think it's really about action, and we all live it, right? Like that's how we live our lives. But I think it's about, you know, the men in the industry as well. It's about people, at the top of the food chain, so to speak, and them making good decision and taking action around this. I mean, it takes everyone taking action. I was trying to think of an example of this, and years ago, when we started Hoopla skateboards, that was because George Powell, of Skate One, stepped up and said, "Hey, I will fund this whole thing. Like, you girls go and build it. I'll make it happen." It's just that was a really good example of that from my own experience. And he supported us for 10 years and did everything he could and never said no to any idea we brought to him. So yeah, that was just like a really great example of that. But I think we need to see that from everyone to really balance the scale, so to speak. But yeah, I'll pass it on to Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to echo everything that everyone has said. I totally agree with you all. I think it's having women in positions of power and influence in the industry so that we see that top-down sort of effect. Because I think women have been really good at having a huge influence from the bottom up, from grassroots and community-driven initiatives. But I think the real balancing of the scales is when we have the top-down effect as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys on that one. And like you said, like having other like people from the higher up helping us, and definitely got to give Jim a shout out from Deluxe for also helping us out here on the Navajo Nation and to other reservations. And it's pretty amazing to see the balance starting to slowly happen and people getting supported all around. Okay, now on to the next question. What is top of your wish list for women in skateboarding going forward? Okay, let's see. Let's start with Miss Norma.
I think long-term support, so that we can be sustainable. I think right now it's kind of like up and down. Sometimes we feel supported, sometimes we feel forgotten. So yeah, long-term support and sustainable practices so that we can keep going in a more stable way. I know it's been talks, that skateboarding is in difficult positions and stuff, but I feel like if we set up better ways of working, things can improve. So yeah, I think long-term and sustainable support for the communities that we're part of. And I pass it to Pipa.
Um, all right. I think that the same as Norma, but I really want to people really know why they are skating, that they keep it fun in community. And yeah, I think that's it, because if we lost our the main reason we are doing it, I think that the passion for skateboard will be forgotten and people will be skating for another reason. And that's how I feel about competition nowadays. And but they can't forget that what will keep skateboarding cool is the community, the people that are struggling doing some projects on the street. So I think about it, and yeah, that's it. Cecily.
Thank you. Caught me off guard. Alrighty, so my wish list for women in skateboarding. well, just to always have the passion and to always be brave, whether it's going into the industry or just carrying like just skateboarding for yourself. And also one of the wishes in skateboarding going forward for women also would be also would be um other ladies to not be afraid of skateboarding, because I know a lot of other like females, women do get intimidated, and I wish like the wish is to bring the intimidation down, that so more females are able to skate and not to be intimidated and to see the fun side in skateboarding. And there's always so much in skateboarding that anybody could do, whether it's creating graphics to recycling skateboards to creating videos, photography, and that's one of my wish lists for women in skateboarding. I'm sorry, and I pass it to Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, like really broadly, like more opportunities and more representation. And what you said earlier, Mimi, kind of made me think just about the like I don't necessarily want to see the mainstream skate media or, you know, the guys like telling women's stories, but having them support the women that want to tell those stories has like such a big impact. So I would love to see more of that in the industry. Yeah, generally speaking, across media and just all the creative sides of it. But just yeah, more opportunities for women to tell their stories. Did we miss anyone? Mimi, did you go?
No, I'll go. I mean, you guys all said amazing things I agree with. Pipa, especially what you said, because yeah, just coming from the World Championships in Sao Paulo. I haven't been to one of those for park, and I mean no one has. There hasn't been one in a year or two. But the competitiveness was like at an all-time high, and which is good. It's healthy. That's how you progress and, you know, move the needle, um, you know, different tricks and things like that. But, you know, the Americans are more kind of having fun. And I felt like I don't want to ever lose that in this space, because I think it's just so healthy for people to be laughing and high-fiving. And yeah, my hope is that never is lost, because even at the highest competitive level, we need that. Like, it's just part of what skateboarding is. There's such a humanitarian element to skateboarding and connecting with people that I think is just so vital. But yeah, other than that, I think just like I said before, filling leadership roles, like that's where I really see the scales dipping the most. It's just there's not enough women at working at brands, and also women starting brands. I think Loop Hardware is like made me so happy to see, you know, Nicole and Fabiana start this company, and, you know, they're learning as they go. But I'm like, this is like, I've been waiting for this for so many years. So yeah, it's just awesome to see that. And I know there's others too, but yeah, seeing more things like that as well would be awesome. I think I maybe was the last person. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's about it. That's all amazing answers, and thank you guys for that. And let's see, another question. What advice would you give your younger self? And we shall go with Pipa.
I think for me, my advice to me is keep dreaming, keeping doing it, you know, because since we have some desire in ourselves, I think it's important to pursue it, you know. So, and I cannot imagine myself in another way doing anything else, you know. So even back in the days when I thought about gave up about skateboarding because I had to work, I had to study, I had no time really skating or, living this skate life, the lifestyle we have. I had no time to live this, but I knew I had the dream about skateboarding, like work with skateboarding, being a professional skater. And yeah, so I think I'm living it in a different way that I thought I could live it, but it worked it. So if I could say something to myself back in the days was keep doing it because you're gonna achieve your dream. So yeah. And you go, Norma.
Yeah, I think don't let your what I will tell my young self is don't let your demons take over, because I feel like a lot of the times our demons take over and we don't start doing the thing because of being scared, or I call them the demons because sometimes you're in your head, and so like fight your demons and go for it, and don't wait for the validation. Just do you and trust your instinct. I think we don't often talk about like our intuition is usually right. I notice it's happened many times where I'm like, my intuition was right, I should have listened, but then we're looking for validation in other places when we know what we should be doing. And I think also like try not to compare yourself, and try also to remember that what makes you different, it's your strength, and embrace being yourself. Like I think that's something I will tell my younger self, and go for it. Don't let your demons take over, and yeah, believe in yourself and be yourself. That's there's only one you. There's only one of us, and that's what makes us all special, that there's nobody else like us. So we gotta embrace it. And I pass it to Mimi.
Good advice, Norma. Yeah, I think for me, just going way back when I was in my 20s, just competing in skateboarding, there wasn't a lot of money in it for women at the time. I think I had a lot of, not my parents, my parents were very supportive, but I think I had other extended family that was like, what are you doing? Like, how are you going to support yourself? And that really got in my head at the time because it didn't exist. There was no way to do that. But now being older, looking back, I think I would tell myself the the more rare thing is having a strong passion for something because not everyone has that. And I think that's the whole point of life is like to really just live your life as passionately and as fully as you can. And skateboarding has given me that. So I think I've been lucky to also create jobs out of it over the years, of course. But I think, yeah, I would have told myself, don't stress about that so much right now. You're 24, like you'll figure it out. And you don't need to worry about like, what your relatives are saying about your career. So yeah, I think that's what I would have told myself. I'll pass it to who hasn't gone? Indigo? Sarah? Indigo?
You can go Indigo.
Okay, thank you, Mimi and Norma, Pippa, Cecilia, for all those insights. I'm just going to wind back to top of the wish list for women going forward and maybe pinpoint something that I'm the co-chair of the International Advisory Board for Skateistan, and with all nonprofits, Mimi's on the board too, is constantly looking for funding, and looking in the philanthropy circles has been really intriguing and compelling in a way to see how much change happens when somebody not just can give you $1,000 for an event, $5,000 for an event, they can give you $1 million to make real differences. And those conversations, who makes those happen, and what it looks like. And one of the better examples that I've seen is from Women Wins, who initially supported Skate Like a Girl to go over to the Cambodian program and teach workshops, leadership skills and all that. But what I really loved, it was very reciprocal, that the Women's Win then paid for the Cambodian skate team to go over to, I think, Seattle, where it's the Skate Like a Girl chapter there, and do exactly the same thing. So that return to the balancing of the scales is really important. But I think if we all had funding by outside of skateboarding, like skateboarding is getting poor in a way because we're always asking each other for money. But if we knew how to have those conversations with the bigger companies and a lot of you do, but definitely in my small realm, it's a new skill that I'm learning. It's so valuable that you're all in Brazil and you had those conversations, that you had time to sit and have a meal. You had time to get cranky and tired with each other. You had time to get angry and say, like just like Norm was saying, like there's a lot of toxic stuff going on there. And to see your emotions and just give each other, that time together. I think meeting each other is such a powerful thing, but it's so expensive and so hard. And I think that's what my wish list is going forward, is just more philanthropy and more people outside of skateboarding knowing how powerful we all are and just to support us. And then I have my advice to my younger self would be to go back and listen to all of you. So that's my advice for my younger self, is to listen to talks like this and think, oh yeah, like okay, like be look for validation, not outside, just do it. All the things that everybody said here is really, really important. Probably the last thing I'm going to say, though, my grandmother gave me the advice is community before clicks, and principles before popularity. And she was a feminist. She protested against the Vietnam War, of which I'm an orphan from, and was in an orphanage. So she was very pivotal in funding my orphanage during the war. And the feminist work in stopping wars is still something that we can all back now. So yeah, I think just there's community, and then there's all our other things that come first. But I think everybody here really values community. So even if you're younger and you're thinking that you don't belong anywhere, there's always a community that will be resonating with you in one way or another. I'm passing back to Cecilia, I think, or Sarah.
Oh man, I don't want to go off the back of that. That's super inspiring. Yeah, how do I back that up? Something that I try and tell myself these days is have the audacity. You can be humble, you can be respectful, and still have the audacity. And I think as women working in like male-dominated spaces, like just asking for what you want or what you deserve, what you need, and speaking up, and just having a voice, having the audacity to go after what you want and chase those dreams, and follow your passions and all of that sort of thing. So very broad, but like whenever I'm feeling a bit like, what do I do next, or like what's the right move, or is this okay, it's like have the audacity. let's go.
Alrighty, thank you guys for your answers. And for me, what I would say to my younger self, well, when I started skateboarding, I didn't know anything about the industry, being sponsored, pro skateboarders, and I just picked up skateboarding to get away from the negativity going on the reservation. And during that time, it was really hard for me because, like, from losing like family members to suicide, and family members drinking so much that there wasn't much to do. But I would when I picked up a skateboard, all of that kind of went away, and that's when my real passion and creativity started coming out in my focus, and the need to I like to do like things repetitionally. So that definitely helped me as a teenager. Like always, like once I learned a trick, I just kept doing it over and over. So I would tell myself to keep going and to always do everything with 100% with your heart, and always keep that passion, and to follow your heart and just stay strong. That's what I would tell myself. Just keep going and everything will be okay as long as you're following your heart and your passion and doing everything 100%. All righty. The last question. What are you looking forward to doing? What are you looking forward to doing next in skateboarding, on or off the board? And how can we follow this and cheer you on? And we'll start with Mimi.
Okay. First of all, I've never known what I'm going to be doing year to year, so it's a bit of a question mark, but I think right now I'm really trying to do my best to help rebuild the program for Team USA, the Olympic program. So governance is a bit uncertain still of the sport in the United States, but once we sort that out, yeah, I really hope to just keep taking baby steps to make things better in that regard for the skaters that are involved in that pathway. Outside of that, I have no idea. I just know it will be somehow trying to create change in a positive way, hopefully in skateboarding. So yeah, that could look many different ways. So we'll have to see. But yeah, in terms of following me, I have no idea. Maybe Instagram. I don't know. Sometimes I post things there. So yeah. And I will pass it to Norma.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to continue documenting the history of skateboarding, especially non-traditional skateboarding. And yeah, continue pursuing my dreams. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to expand my work. So I've been looking at doing other sports, action and adventure sports. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to the next Olympics too, and just like WAF and all the events that we do every year. I feel like it's about to get really busy again. After I feel like starting March, the year start picking up all the events. So I really look forward to seeing everyone at the events and reconnecting with people, meeting new people, and yeah, just looking forward also to see what everyone is doing and collaborate with more people so that we can continue to impact our community. And I pass it to you.
To me, yeah, about me, I'm looking forward to keep doing the magazine because it's a project that I just started. It's been 3 years. And beside that, I hope I can keep doing my skate videos. And for me, that's all. And documentary, some stories of skateboarding here in Brazil too, because it was magical for me when when I started Into the Mirror with a documentary talking about female skateboarding here since the 80s. And the girls talk to me like, oh, I never knew about that. Thank you for putting this work for us. And now we know some of the reference, the role models. And I hope I can keep doing it, like documentary some girls from this generation so the next generation will know about them, So yeah, and I think I live for storytelling, so I hope I'll keep doing this. And even it's through videos, magazine, or contests, I don't know, but if people want to see this, follow me on social media. I'll be doing this. And you can follow it. So, yeah. And I pass into Sarah.
So this year is 10 years since I started Diego. So exciting times for that. And I can't talk about it yet, but I do have some plans to mark the occasion a little bit later in the year. So stay tuned, I guess, on the gram. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Over to you, Indigo.
That's such a smooth throw of over to you. Thank you. I don't know how to follow that one. I'm very excited about Yego's 10th anniversary. So I'm going to stay tuned. And at the end of this panel, I have a slide with all our gram so we can follow each other. And I'm really looking forward to having some research time to do a project called Community Skate-Led Groups and Skateboarding in the Olympics. I'm one of 7 people in the world at the moment with an International Advanced Research Grant from the Olympics. So the International Olympics Committee in the past have given a grant to Action Sport, but this is the first time they've given this research grant for a 3-year project to skateboarding. So obviously we're doing something right. They're really interested in what we're about. And the main focus of my project is actually to talk to groups like in Uganda, Indonesia, Vietnam, Brazil, Iran, Jordan, wherever skateboarding has a skate scene globally, and ask them, what does the Olympics mean to them? And what can the Olympics learn from us, not the other way around? I think that as maybe it was many a famous skate person who said, probably Tony Hawk and others, that skateboarding has much more to gain from us than the other way around. Skateboarding will always be something special. And of course, the Olympics is a wonderful way to showcase the excellence of women and girls and other gender skateboarding. But it's really, really going to be an exciting time to interview and get short videos from across 5 continents about what skate groups think of the Olympics, if they think about it at all. What are the gaps? What can be improved? And what do they like to celebrate that they'd like the Olympic Committee and the rest of the world to know about? So I'm looking forward to that. Do I throw to Mimi? Is that I'm just trying to myself.
Norma. Norma?
Norma went first, I think.
Oh,
Cecilia.
Cecilia. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry,
Cecilia.
Norma.
Although it's awesome hearing from you again, Norma, but we'll go to Cecilia.
Oh, me? Okay. Let's see. Hold on one second. What am I looking forward to do next in skateboarding? Well, I'm looking forward to finishing my video part. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to doing, because my previous video parts, like when you do your video parts, you're up against yourself. So now I have to step it up. And there are a lot of like scary things that I want to do in film. So overcoming the fear and getting those certain clips captured would be pretty awesome. And just putting that part out there so other females and people and other Native American natives could see and be inspired to get out there and make their own video parts. And also doing more events with the shop for my surrounding areas, because well, I live here in Gallup, New Mexico, and Gallup, New Mexico is known as a border town, and we are surrounded by multiple reservations like Zuni Pueblo to Acoma to the Hopi Reservation to the Apache Reservation. So I would like to continue to do more events and also get more people within the industry to support and come out to those events, because within the years I've been skating and doing events, and we have never had like any big pro team out, and never like really had like an event like how California or San Francisco does, like really cool skate events to where you have everybody like the big old tent with their big old tents and stuff. So we've never like really had that here. So I think that's one of my dreams to do, is to get so much support and really have everyone experience like those cool events that I've been to. Because like going out to like those events, it's pretty fun. It's because I get to meet people from different states to different countries, and it's not like everyone's against each other, but everyone's just vibing and for each other, having fun. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing. And one of our biggest skate contests that I host every year, it's called the Intertribal Ceremony Skate Jam. And that's it's lined up with the Intertribal Ceremony, which has been going on for about maybe 105 years. And that's when all different tribes, about 100 tribes, come together here in Gallup, New Mexico for about a week. But the skate event's only for about 2 days. So this event, we're hoping to maybe make it more more side events that connect with skateboarding, like showing like the community like outdoor yoga, to tying that in with the skate jam, and to also getting together with the community to go out and film some skateboarding tricks and putting that into a video so we can showcase their skate skills to the outside visitors. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing as well, and to continue with the shop to support the community and keeping that like local skate shop vibe going, and having everybody like have that as their home hub for skateboarding here in the area. Yep, and that's about it.
Yeah, so what I might do now is just share my screen one last time so we can see our contacts. So enormous thank you to Cecilia Todicini for being the co-chair of this event, and our panelists Mimi Knoop, Norma Ibarra, Sarah Houston, Pippa Souza. So thank you, Mimi. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Pippa. Thank you, Sarah. And of course, thank you, Cecilia. And here we are. This is how you can find us. So take a screenshot or take a photo of these. And of course, we'll also advertise our socials, all of these on the Shred, and also Respect is Rad socials. So you'll be able to follow everybody. And then there's just a little bit of time for question time. I'll throw over now to Ben Duster, who is the co-convener of the Shred Network, who's co-hosting this, to have a look at the question time, if that's okay, Ben. So that Cecilia and I can just have a bit of a stretch and a chill. Ben, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah. Here's Dr. Duster. Ben.
Okay. Yeah, thanks so much for this inspiring panel. I'm still processing as well. Yeah, if there are any questions, I'm going through the chat right now. There's none in the chat as far as I can see. Just use the function for raising your hand, or just pop on your microphone.
Claudia has a question in the chat.
Yeah, Claudia's asking, how can we support you more?
Let Cecilia kick this one off.
I think how people could support us more is like we mentioned, they're giving us a follow on Instagram, so that way you stay informed about what events are going down, and if we need any help or volunteers or anything, like if you have any questions on what is needed. I think staying connected with us would be very helpful, and from there we could definitely keep you informed on what is needed. Do I pass it on? Do I pass the question to someone?
Yeah, if anyone else has an answer for that, have a go. I'm good. Anybody else want to answer that question?
Otherwise, Indigo, do you want to do your question?
Sure. So firstly, ahehe to you, Cecilia. Thank you so much for being my
You're
amazing
welcome.
co-chair. And I'm going to say gracias and obrigada. Obrigada. My Australian accent probably is not doing any justice to any of these greetings and thank yous. My question is actually, because you're also involved in media and content and also brands, how hard is it to get in things like Thrasher? And has it got easier lately? Because I'm still counting how many covers like the big magazines have. And I just want to know, like, how hard is it? I'm going to start with Norma, if that's okay. Like, what does it take to get in something like Thrasher? Do they call you up? Do you have to call them? What happens?
Well, I feel you have to be trying. So, like, say, I think the difficult part now is having access to the skaters that Thrasher wanna showcase, in a sense, because for example, I find before Thrasher was showcasing more women than, like, I guess we got into a point where there's more ads with non-traditional skater, and there's a few articles in a few issues out of the 500, or I forget how many there are, but there is some percentage of representation, but I noticed now it's like back in the day, women were not recognized. So, for example, we were doing our own thing. So, let's say I will go and photograph skaters that I get to hang out with. But now some of these skaters are professionals now, and now they go out and photo and shoot with their brand sponsors photographers. So it's almost like there's no access to the pro skaters unless you really work for a brand. So unless you're friends with them. So I think in order to get on Thrasher, you need to have access to those skaters that Thrasher wants to showcase, which is usually sponsor skaters and usually like the gnarliest tricks. So it's gotten difficult as I think if you're a woman photographer and you don't work for a brand, a skateboarding brand, it's gotten harder to access those skaters because the same skaters, they don't even want to shoot with us anymore because they rather shoot with the photographers that work for so and so brands, right? Which is the old white guys who've been doing it for 30, 40 years, which they're amazing, but it's like this now is this, we're in this, it's kind of like in limbo because it's like I wanna shoot a Thrasher cover, for example, but it's like how can I get in the van when usually the skate trips that go on Thrasher are usually a Thrasher photographer or a deluxe photographer or you name it, NHS or whoever is Monster organizing this trip. So it's gotten to a point where the magazine has somewhat more non-traditional skaters recognized, but it's like how can the non-traditional content makers, whether it's a filmer, photographer, or a writer, can get on those trips. So it's now we have this problem where it's like, okay, now there is some kind of representation, which I don't think it's enough yet. But now it's the people that are making the telling the stories now they're not will still not part of it. There is certain articles that get created every year, like now WOF, has an annual article that we've been part of through Scale Like a Girl. Shout out to Alex and Kristen who set it up. So, for example, we have been able to have photos on Thrasher about WOF, and there's a couple of articles in a few issues, in the history, but it's still really difficult, unless you really have access to whether it's those skaters or those brands that get to be on Thrasher. So it's not easy, it's not easy, but it's the editors, not just Thrasher, but the editors I always ask questions and the editors always say, send me pictures, send me pictures. So they are open to see those pictures, but I feel like it wouldn't be really cool that those editors that have been around for so many years that actually like back that what is the word, like they give the opportunity to someone else, like you've done it so many years, like would it be cool, like they want to have so person on the cover, non a white dude in the cover, why don't you choose a photographer from that community to shoot the photo versus like the same editor doing the same photos all the time. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky, and it's all a matter of sharing, but it's everyone wants to shoot a Thrasher cover. So it's really competitive and it's really hard unless you have the ins to any of those avenues.
Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking I see a lot of opportunities going to different people and again in the Olympics. I wanted to, ask you, is that easier as we head towards LA 28? Do you think things are better?
I recently saw a World Skate hire Raisa Val for the competitions in here in Brazil. So I think that's a big step. Usually it's all the media are men. So, and I was hired back in 2022 once for one of the competitions in Rome. So that's we're going in the right direction. But like I said earlier, why can't we have the same way they all I posted this on one of my content pieces that the Olympics last year or 2 years ago, they were claiming gender parity. Imagine like the LA Olympics claim that, but with including media, like making it a thing where it's like we're gonna have 50%, each women and men parity as well for the media. That will be like pretty legendary, and I saw the Winter Olympics, there was this one event that had mostly women, and it got viral because it's not very common, and people were sending to me, look, there was more women at the Winter Olympics. So like it's going in the right direction. It's just taking a bit too long in my opinion, but it's hopefully in 2 years, yeah, some of us will be there behind the lens. Anyone
Okay.
else?
Would anyone like to share something on Thrasher, or maybe the other magazines? That would be interesting to hear as well, because I feel Thrasher is very locked into the sort of aesthetic that they have been doing for decades now.
I'd be interested to hear from maybe Mimi as well. Like, what does it take to have what does it take, do you think, to, yeah, what we're talking about now? You've seen a lot. What's the magic that we
I was just gonna, I mean, what Norma said is correct. I was gonna just add to that. It's the same for the skaters. It's like you have to be a skater that represents one of those big brands that's paying heavily into advertising, or funding the trips that are being covered in the mag to be featured. Um, Historically, Thrasher would always post like the most progressive skating for women and non-traditional skaters. I mean, that 20 years ago, that's how it was. If you did a trick no other women had done, then you'll have a better chance of getting in the mag. And I would think that's probably always the case in some way, but yeah, the brands really do kind of control a lot of what you see. And if anything, I think the mags are great. They're awesome. It's, great to have them there, but I think things are shifting more into the individual to have more power, and it's more it's kind of like on the individual now to go and create their own channels and their own sort of brand in a way to build off of that. And I think there's more power in that now than there ever used to be. And all the big footwear brands and things, like, they'll tell you that too. So yeah, I think that's sort of a positive that's come out of modern day, environment in the skateboarding industry, is we do have more power than we used to have in that way.
And if I could just jump in as well, obviously, like, getting your pictures in Thrasher and those mainstream magazines is great, but also, like Dolores and other women's skate mags, like, are a lot more accessible to us, and like they're the people that are supporting us, and I think we can support them, and like that's a huge achievement as well to be published in magazines like that. Like, they're doing incredible work. So it's not all about the Thrashers of the world as much as yeah, they get the cred, and it means something, but yeah, I think celebrating the magazines from our community as well, and those media platforms, and yeah, like Mirror, and yeah, others as well.
Pippa, I really enjoyed watching the World Skate interviews with you. And a lot of them were in Portuguese, which I don't speak, but I watched them. I thought this is really cool because you look like you're having a good party as much as anything, and just really celebrating. I saw you in panels and that. What's it like doing that front facing role during such a big event? Is it fun or is it stressful?
When it's rainy, it's stressful, but um, it's a skateboarding, so I enjoy so much how every trick, every person is skating their own style, and especially to see the growth progression, so it's always fun, even though it's work and it's a lot of like hours speaking about skateboarding, But yeah, the World Skate was my first big one because it was about almost 400 people to skate this contest. But yeah, since I got into this commentary thing, I've been enjoying it because through this job I could travel a lot, you know. Now I've been traveling a lot of places here in Brazil because Brazil is huge, you know. I finally went to work abroad. I went to Sweden and then I could stay in Denmark. It was amazing, like to work. So it's opening more door for me. And even though my English, I have to be better in the English so people can understand me more. But yeah, I think it's fun. Um, it's kind of different than I've been living my whole life, you know, in my community, in my town, like a little town. And then I'm doing this like worldwide. It's amazing. So, yeah, I only have fun. I don't like it when it's raining because um, you know, it's boring when it's raining, and I like to see the skateboarding and the tricks. So yeah, that's it.
All right, Cecilia, what about you? Are we into Thrasher, or we got other things we're thinking about too?
Like a question or
Yeah, like I think the question originally was like how important it for us to be in magazines like Thrasher, and is it easier these days, or as Sarah said, there's so many other magazines, so does it even matter?
yeah, it seems like it's pretty hard and exactly what Norma and Mimi had said. Yeah, I would definitely agree with them on that. And I think like as long as we have people pushing forward like Norma and other people speaking up, and I think soon it'll like more people will get highlighted. Yeah,
I love it when
that's
I
what I
see you in interviews, Cecilia, and do the media come out to the reservations and like out at San Carlos or White River or to Gallup? And
what was that again?
really love seeing when I see interviews with you and media on you and seeing you featured, Cecilia. And I was wondering, yeah, if the skate media come out to the reservations much to places like San Carlos or White River or Gallup, where you.
So far, it's only been in the Apache reservation, like with the Apache skateboards. So I definitely give them a huge shout out for opening like the doors to exposing, helping the exposure of Native Americans. So it's pretty rare for them to come out here, but we do have Nation Skate youth that will be coming out to the Navajo reservation. So I think that like having people like Rosie and Norman helping like other connections get helping other connections come out here. I think it's pretty hard, but I think with the support like with these ladies and the connections like with the brands that back them up, I think it's pretty big blessing for that to happen here on the Navajo Nation. And I'm definitely looking forward to Rosie and everyone coming out. But I would like to see more of that because there are so many amazing skate spots, amazing skateboarders out here, and cool little skate parks, and also like the surroundings. The land has so much to offer with the stories, the traditions, and a lot of like reservations always are very welcoming with open arms. And I think with the help of other people on the higher ups, it's starting to slowly make its way here, and we're pretty excited for that. And a lot of people my age to the older generation to the younger generation, it's definitely starting to slowly kick off, and definitely want to figure out how we could build up more from that and get more people out here just to experience the culture and to get to know the tribes education wise and all that cool stuff.
Cool. Norma has her hand up.
Yeah, we both just want to add into like the treasure thing, and I think there's a lot of it's obviously really important to celebrate the NBDs, the sponsor skaters, but I think part of my work has always been to show what we don't often see in the traditional media. It doesn't necessarily needs to be like the gnarliest thing that someone landed, but more about like content, photography, stories that will make more people join skateboarding. Because yes, of course, it's amazing to see everyone's video parts, and obviously we want to celebrate the hard work that goes into filming a video part. But I think there's also a lot of. It's really important that we also show the other side of skateboarding. Like Cecile was saying, there's a lot of groundwork happening in all over the world with grassroots initiatives where people need to see that because that's more relatable to the majority of people. Like I think the pro skateboarding obviously is relatable and for some, but then there's another part of the world that might be like, oh, that looks scary, I'm never gonna try it. But then if they see a photo of someone doing like a slappy or a video of someone, having fun with their friends, like which is what a lot of us share on social media nowadays. But I feel like there's also that part of skateboarding, that the activism, besides just the NBDs and the gnarly, there's also an activism part of at least the work I do, where it's showing more women, more people of color, all bodies, all levels, all abilities. And that's something that more people can relate to as well. So that's really important. And that's where non-traditional skate mags come into place. And I love working with those two, like Sarah was saying. But and I think Vipa wanted to say something too.
Um, about the question, I think I have to add like this is how this kind of question, this is how I feel about our community, how we should be looking up to our own community because I don't forget last year Vanessa came to Rio de Janeiro and she said to me like sometimes you don't need to ask for a chair if you have your own table. So I think it's more about it. I think it's important to have this stuff on Treasure Magazine, but I think there's more value if we can put it on our own community. So sometimes the photo will have no value for treasure, but for into the mirror, my magazine, for example, super nice to have it. So I think when we do something looking for our own community, not waiting for some improvement for someone else, um, it can be beautiful, because you talk to people that you really want to talk, so maybe have a page on Treasure would be nice, but will people really pay attention on that, or they just passing the pages? So I think it's more about that. So if we were doing our thing and we have our own safe space to share it, to talk about it, I think it's more important than be waiting for they open the door. That's what I had to say.
Staunch. That was great to hear. And particularly when we have everybody here that's been so major in making those safer spaces. Ben, was there any other questions? We've been going hard for almost an hour and a half, so
Yeah, I'm not seeing any hands, and your question is the last one in the chat. I can ask one if there is a little bit time left.
your lucky last question, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. It's sort of like a brainstorming question because of you've given us all the amazing experience that you have, and I'm trying to sort of like reflect on the space that we are meeting in right now and what Indy and I are trying and everyone involved in Shred is trying to do and the situation that platforms are in at the moment. So the internet platforms are in, for example, and alternative ways. There is, for example, it's sort of a quasi theory, but maybe you've heard of the term enshittification, that platforms like Facebook and Instagram are getting and shitified. Basically saying that Instagram is sort of on the way out. It's sort of like degrading, it's rotting away because of the greed of Meta. And as skateboarders, I think skateboarders are powerful people because there is a high sensitivity for adaptation. Skateboarding is adaptation, basically, human adaptation. And I'm curious to hear from you guys if you've noticed any sort of patterns, something maybe that where you felt like this is strange on like how the social media like channels are behaving, and if you have maybe talked about this with your peers, and whether you have any sort of ideas like for how you want to move forward. Like I'm not talking about like a sort of apocalypse of like social media, but I'm more like interested because Shred is an attempt to like sort of have something outside. It's sort of tied into this space, of course, but we are also trying to give an alternative to people. And yeah, I'm just curious what you maybe have observed or like what your thoughts on this are.
I can jump. I also work doing social media, like at just because people think I only work as a photographer, but that's not the case. I also work running social media, and there's always been, well, ever since the internet got given to the whole world, there's been many, many platforms, right? Like that now are dead. And so whenever I shoot a photo and people are like, "Can I post it? Can I post it?" I always tell them like, one day Instagram is gonna be gone. I don't know when, we don't know when. I don't know much about Meta and all that, but I do feel like print, it's very important, like because the tangible, like having books, having magazine, having the tangible history, like even like when videos were like, like a cassette and a CD, like the tangible thing of having, it's important like for history, like if we go back in history, like all the things that we have found from the past because they were tangible. So to me, like the value of having like a tangible photo, a tangible video, or you name it, like it's so important. And I think social media, we are kind of a little bit so used to now that everyone is like the followers, the social media, the engagement and stuff. But I think I always have this rule, like if there's if a photo hasn't gotten printed, I usually don't post it if it's like, like a street photo, because the importance of that photo being tangible for the history, for when we're not here, like what people are gonna have that they can look at, that's not a screen. Um, that's what I wanted to say about it. Like I don't know about the online apocalypse, but I do feel like having the tangible stuff printed and all that, the historic archive, it's really important, and we can't forget about it. We cannot let print die.
I agree.
Oh, I
100%.
would
Thanks so much.
I would agree with Norma. I would add to that, like there was a time when Instagram wasn't around not that long ago, So I think it's like the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. It's a communication device. That's all it is. And it will shift to something else, I'm sure, but then we'll use that. And there's nothing more powerful than word of mouth ever, I don't think, even today. So, yes, it's a platform we all use to get information out there, but really like talking to people one-on-one or, maintaining relationships with people is where the real value is. Everything else is just sort of like glossy overlayer. But yeah, I'm not too worried about Instagram. Instagram's weird. it's always been kind of weird, you know. Luckily, my algorithm is puppies and like miniature animals. I'm very lucky about that. It's not the same for everyone else, but yeah, I think well, just like you said, skateboarders are good at adapting. We'll probably be ahead of whatever's next, and everyone else will follow. So I'm not too worried about it.
I just wanted to say, as somebody that's pre-internet, because I'm 55 this year, and when I started at school, we used typewriters and handwriting, and there honestly wasn't emails to this time where there's like Instagram and all these other things. And yeah, I just love the power of meeting up with everyone, and I really love the written word as well. So hopefully, with everyone's agreement, we can take some excerpts from this, wonderful panel, and just use it to can let people know some tips that we have, and just sort of share it in conversations. And would really appreciate once we have the recording of this event, after you check it and see that you're fine with how it looks, that you can share it with your networks, for people that can't attend at the time of day it is. That's again the magic of the internet, is that we can have international conversations. So yeah, I don't trust when something's a multi-million-dollar exercise that whatever they're going to do, and it's not always very wholesome at the end of the day, but I love us. So thank you.
Thanks so much for every answer. And just want to give a final opportunity if there is a quick question anybody has. Otherwise, I'll give it to you. You need to wrap it up.
Oh, Cecilia, would you like to wrap it up and thank everybody? And then, yeah, it's been great.
Alrighty. Thank you everybody for coming together. It's really inspirational to hear everybody's thoughts and answers. And I think it will definitely inspire those watching. And thank you guys for this opportunity. Much appreciated. And as we say, Navajo, Ahiha, and Southern Ute, Dogwaya.
Thank you. Thank you all for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Obrigado.
Yeah, thank you.
Obrigada.
That's been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Doggy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Hope
you.
to see you soon.